The consideration, I guess, in terms, like, I struggle with taking more school choice kids in, and we only get 5,000 for them, but it costs us 20,000, give or take, to educate the student. So everyone's a loss, and we're paying for kids from Clinton to come to Boylston Elementary School or Berlin Memorial, but at the same time, it's the only source of free cash we have that we can control. So I think there's probably a balance between, like, really thinking about how many seats do we open up. Because I look at, like, I said this to BES already, and I'm interested to see what the enrollment numbers look like next week. But, like, I look at Henry's class, kindergarten, there were 17 kids in 3 classes. First grade, there's 20 kids in 3 classes. So you, in 1 year, gotten to that 20. You almost did the point, we need 4 classes in first grade.
Well, and I'm
You want to give them
noticing, I don't know that they have aides in all those classes.
There's no aides.
And you look at like Shrewsbury, and I don't know what they do in Boylston, but I'm noticing like in Shrewsbury, the kindergarten class is 16 kids with 2 teachers, like
So
1 teacher and an aide.
I think budgetarily, as we think about this next week, and see with the district improvement plan, this is some of the notes I made for Jeff already.
Yeah.
Like, he's got kindergarten aides in the improvement plan, but they're like 2 years out, and I have no interest in us waiting. To me, I think people want to see more staff now. We don't want to wait 2 years for it. And so, like, and that's my other question. Like, so look at BES. We're almost at the point where every grade level is going to need 3 classes just to keep the class sizes at or around 20. But let's say you bump up to like 22 in a classroom. I'm interested in hearing from the teachers and from Carol, like, at 22, let's say you've got 66 kids in first grade, 3 classes of 22. Do you break that up into 4 classes and open another classroom of first graders, or do you give each teacher an aide? Because the cost is almost the same. The cost of a full-time teacher is probably the same as 3 aides. Would we prefer to have the extra aides in those larger classes as opposed to breaking them up? At what point is, like,
right, that's good
do you push over to 4 classes? Or I think there's one class at BES that has 2, but there's both like 20-person classes. It's 5th grade.
5th grade has 3.
4th grade I have 2 then. There's one
4th
class
grade
that's
has,
smaller.
4th has 2. Yep, 4th has 2,
well,
but there's
the
like
class
20,
is
I think it might be more, because we were giving out the school supplies, and I was looking at the list. I think one of them has like 22 kids.
So I think one of the things I want to see is, like, I think we need to have 3 at BES. I think we need 3 teachers at every grade level at this point. I don't think we should have one that's 2
So we need
and
to
then
hire
that
2.
changes every year.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing is they're moving teachers around
Right.
to follow that smaller class.
Right, they loop them.
And pull someone over there, as opposed to at 20 kids a class, break them into 3 and have 3 classes of, 14 at that point. At some point, you gotta, but I think the aid situation is,
If
there's
you have
no
a
aids in
space.
kindergarten. There's
No,
aids
I
anywhere.
can't even
BES.
get over that they don't, and the the kindergartens are almost 20.
And what would it cost? I mean, if you wanted to put 3 aides in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd, let's say, that's 9 aides. Each one costs about 35 a year maybe,
Yeah, 27 to 35.
right? So you're talking about, a total of like
Less than
300 grand?
Yeah.
300 grand?
Well, 100 for kindergarten, but
Right,
yeah.
if you did all 300 grand
Yeah.
for, on a $19 million budget, like that's no.
That's
Right.
nothing, yeah. Yeah, no, she said there was some, remember Dawn Marie was saying to us, there's positions open.
Right.
Mhm.
So hopefully this year they will have more help in that building, because the feeling I get, I don't know, is that they're like flailing. At least, I just feel.
Staff-wise right now.
Staff-wise,
Yeah,
that's what I
support
mean.
staff.
Yeah, like support staff, like that's why,
It can be difficult to fill.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
especially
that
right
too,
now.
so that's why I'm wondering, does it make sense, whereas it seems like it's easier to hire a teacher, does it make sense to maybe think about what it would look like if we went to 4 and had those smaller class sizes?
I also know that over time, like if you have aides in those classrooms, the teacher and the aide develop a relationship, they
Yes.
become partners in the classroom.
Right.
And
They
I think
become,
the aide
yeah.
becomes less likely to leave if he or she likes the teacher
Yeah.
they're working with, they have a working relationship. and
You also
they
have to
become-
consider space
Yeah.
in your building.
That's the thing, like if you
Well,
start
we do
going to 4
not have
classes.
for 4 for everybody, but
No.
there are some classes that, like this kindergarten class coming in, it's already, I think, 2 of the kindergartens are at 20.
Right.
So and there's one at like 19 or 17. So it's like if you got like 4 or 5 kids that move in
In the first grade, like
in the
what
first
happened with
grade,
us.
which is exactly
We
what
must have
happened
had
with
about
you.
9 kids
And
in
then
there.
we have these duplexes going in right on, I mean, it's probably gonna be people with little kids or people that don't have kids.
I mean, I already asked Don Marie and Jeff, given the salary savings we have from some of the teacher turnover at BES?
Mhm.
Can we take some of those funds and open up aid lines in kindergarten now? Do we have to wait a year? If the
I
kindergarten
can't
classes are
believe
20
they,
kids?
yes.
It is.
Because this is my biggest worry, is the value that they're gonna get out of their day, the kids.
Without an aid.
Without help, because how is that teacher supposed to be managing all of those
They
kids?
can't, because you have one kid who needs to take a walk.
Or
and
one
that's-
kid that pees his pants,
Right.
or one kid that gets sick, and what is that teacher supposed to do with those
Right.
other 19 kids?
Right, she can't leave the classroom, right?
No.
So
Or
if you don't have
kids
roaming
that might
needs or-
need extra help, or kids that need a little bit extra work because they're doing well. I mean, it's,
I kind of want to hear, I want to hear Don Marie, Jeff, and Carol say to us that that's what they need. Like, to me, that's what I would do in there, but I kind of want to hear them be the ones that say, this is the top priority, let's say, from a funding standpoint. And then I think we could, because you look at BES here, right? At BES, you've got 241,000 sitting in this revolving school choice account. You could go hire 3 aides right now. We might be able to find them, but you could at least
Right.
budget.
Well, that's
and
the
add them
issue.
in,
Can
right?
you find
Might not be able
these
to find them.
people?
Well, that's why the other topic we have on here is benchmarking some of these
Mhm.
salaries and work. And I think I guess my understanding is when it comes to, we'll with here a second. So, okay, funding sources, let's finish that, we got off track.
Okay.
What's the circuit breaker?
Circuit breaker is all special education. Has
Okay.
to do with special education student reimbursement.
Okay.
It gets filed every year.
That comes to us to help offset the cost of
Exactly.
special ed.
Yep, yep. So that's, this year, we're 307,000.
Preschool revolving, the same deal as like the school choice. is
Yeah,
after.
yeah. We'll be funding a teacher two teachers from preschool revolving.
Okay.
I think one teacher. And then you got your assessments from each town.
Yep.
And then you have your capital
What's
assessments.
that 1.1 Boylston capital assessment this year?
Yep.
What is that going to? Oh, that's Tohonto's loan in it.
That's to do with the loan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking, when I'm
And then you
thinking
got
of
scrubber,
Mm.
library roof repairs,
Mm.
asphalt, and intercom system.
so they are gonna repair the library roof this year?
Yes, yep.
Well, wait, that's supposed to be done,
It's in the budget for now.
is that going in the FY '23 budget? Or is that in the FY '22 budget?
22 is over.
It's in the capital library roof repairs for Boylston for 18,000.
FY20, current fiscal.
That's
That's the
current
current
year
budget.
we're in right now.
Because they haven't
Yes.
done that yet.
Right.
So that's money, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the vast majority of that 1.6
It's
million
the.
is Tohonto's.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, bond.
Exactly. Yep. And then we have our entitlement grants, which your 240 is your special education entitlement grant. Title I Part A, Title II Part A, your 262. These are all special ed.
Mhm.
And the Title IV is student support.
Where do we see like ESSER funding coming in some of the other grant? I know Carol got some grants last year. Is
Yep.
that stuff shown in here, or is that?
So those aren't being used, let me correct myself, they are being used, but they're not being used to offset anything that was budgeted in the budget.
Okay.
So I didn't include them on here. But so for ESSER two, sorry. Where's it?
Do they have, those grants have specific purpose tied to them, correct?
Yeah, ESSER's were COVID funds that were
Mhm,
to
mhm.
help with COVID relief. So two, a part, I don't know their positions, I just know their names, I
Yep.
apologize. One is being paid for $9,350 and the other one is for $17,000. It's
Okay.
going towards ESSER two. And then for ESSER three, we have a salary of
Is she
$45,000.
full-time this year? That looks like full-time number, right?
This one?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's, is that a teacher or is that?
No,
a-
she's a-
Adjustment counselor.
So that's part, that's the part. I don't know. I
Probably
can look.
She was
45,000?
She was part-time last year.
She's like a counselor
No,
though.
it's probably half.
Oh,
But my guess is that's half her salary. I could look into it.
She's
Sorry,
a
I just don't know the people well enough yet,
She's
so I
a social,
apologize.
like, she's a psychologist.
Yeah.
Oh,
she's-
Yeah, so
yeah,
that's
yeah.
probably half, but
She's like
half.
gotta have a master's
If I
or
remember
something.
right, that was half in the budget, half through the grant.
And they are.
Got it,
They have
got
a
it.
district improvement plan already to make that a full-time position next year. in the
Got it.
budget there.
And I think
What
that's
school's
why
that
part
from?
went through ESSER three.
She's a BES.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah,
Got it. Mrs. Pierce, yes.
yeah.
She's also like doing all these extra duties because they don't have staff right
She's
now.
ambassador.
Right.
She's,
Yeah.
you heard Don Marie say that she has asked like the psychologist to be the ambassador.
Oh, is that who she was talking about? I don't know
Ambassador
who she was talking about.
for the school for 5 minutes because of contract. So she got like a non-contact people like, oh, I want you can make 5 minutes to be the ambassador of feelings, or the ambassador of.
Which she's a pickup every day. I mean, drop off.
Yeah.
And Miss Robin too, who's the other one that they just hired. They just hired another psychologist, so they
She's
have
the
two
school psychologist who
psychologists.
took the place of the left.
She's school psychologist and Mrs. Pierce, the one we were just
The
talking about, is an
adjustment
adjustment counselor, but I believe they're both have to be, have
I don't know if
master's
she- I don't know if
degrees or
she
psych.
really has, but I know she was well credentialed.
Yeah, like they have to have
Yeah.
whatever licensed, whatever.
Do you know how long that funding is going to be given
Yeah, that's
to?
right.
So it was like, it was a one-time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, until we use it, and I believe they're both being finished this
Okay.
school year.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right, so remember Ace was
So
telling us about
those 3 little
that.
part-time salaries that will have to come, so, yes.
Yes, and
Yes.
remember Ace was telling us about that, last
Right.
year, remember?
So what's the total, do you know, around on this, if I add this all up?
Everything?
Yeah.
I didn't
Right,
write
it
it.
was like 15, 16, 17. God. It's about 20 million.
It has to be
like-
around 20 million.
Yeah.
Because the budget, it's probably, it's a little higher than the budget's 19,107, so I think
Okay.
it's around 20.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So that's our revenues.
So is ESSER the only, is there any federal money?
So that, the Fed, it's the
That was the ESSER?
entitlement, it's the entitlement
The
grants.
240 stuff at the bottom.
And, but it's all for special ed?
All except the Title IV Part A, which is just for student support, so more or less, yes, all for special ed. So then we have, let's see, just-
And then obviously the ESSER,
we
That's
are
fine.
funding some out of the after-school revolving. That's for the custodian who helps
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
that guy,
after
Mike,
school.
yeah.
Yep. And the rest are covered.
So then our,
Yep.
the after-school program at BES then is generates revenue.
Say that again. sorry.
Generates, it's positive.
Yes,
profitable.
yep. So I was gonna suggest doing that at a different meeting.
That's fine. Yeah.
It's maybe go over revolvings, but I do have, so for the ESSER two, right now, projected out through this school year, I have about 4,300 remaining at the end of this year. But we might pick up something during the year that we put in there.
Laura was asking me a little bit about this because there was that MASC thread on grants. And
yes.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much money out there,
Well, in some
No,
of
as
them
far
we
as what-
have.
yeah.
What do we have, what's our obligation?
Yeah,
the school committee.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think a lot of it got approved via the budget approval in the first place, like those ESSER funds going to those lines was part of the budget we approved.
Yep.
But
Mhm.
if grants come up
Yes.
throughout the year outside of the
Okay.
budget, then they come to us
Right.
to review and approve on an
Right.
individual basis because they weren't part of that budget approval we did.
But how do you find grants? Because,
A lot of, like ESSER is a federal grant program that every
Yeah.
district got.
but like,
we had a grant, Carol,
so Carol's job is to go out and find
But
grants?
there are
or do we have-
districts, there are certainly districts that have staff employed to do grant writing in.
That's what I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, like
that wasn't
there's-
that Carol's role before she became you weren't here, but I think she
it
assistant
was.
superintendent.
So she,
I think
and then
it
we
was.
never
Yeah.
replaced that role.
But that's a good question. That's
I
a
don't think so, no.
Good thing to think about, right?
There's so
going
much
forward,
federal money.
what do we, federal money, but also private money?
Yeah.
Well, there's private money, and is
Carol's very
anybody,
good at
is
that.
anybody fighting for that? Because if Carol is gonna be doing,
Shouldn't be
you
on
know.
the plate.
Right, she's,
Yeah.
well,
Teacher is-
she can't do it all, she's doing curriculum right now, like, if she can't focus on curriculum, cause she's like out trying to get money for the district, at least somebody else has to do
Mhm.
that. But I think there's a lot of money out there, federal, private,
Let's put that into for that belongs to the district improvement plan, to have potentially a staff person who's going to be looking at doing grant writing. It's a part-time job. You grant writers, you can hire them hourly.
Right,
Just
right,
to look, research
Oh, yeah.
and write grants.
right.
And they
You know,
usually
what's that?
generate.
AMSA, we contracted somebody just to do
Yeah.
grant writing.
right, so you must have
$75
got,
to $100 an hour, you can get a grant writer.
and I mean, that could cover like, little things, like, oh, we're looking for air conditioning in the school, we're
Whatever's
looking,
out there.
yes.
And that's their job, right? You give them a job to go research grants and write grants.
Yes.
And they typically will generate more money than they
That's,
cost.
Mhm.
right.
Yep.
All right, so grant writer, so we wanna ask about putting that in the district improvement.
Yeah,
I wanted to circle back quickly to the ESSER three.
yeah.
Yeah.
So at the end of this year, there'll be, if we don't put any additional funds into it, we'll have about 60,000 remaining for fiscal year '24.
Okay.
Yeah, cut from an original 260. Okay.
From
So it's
original
about 200.
263, 868.
But it's budgeted, they've already spent all of it in the budget.
They've allocated it.
It's
For
already
this
been
school
allocated.
year, Yeah, 204,000's been allocated for this
Can
school
we-
year.
But in
Yeah.
in future school years, they allocated the rest of the 60,000, or no, that's just,
Not yet.
Not yet.
okay.
No.
But let's-
Well, we did put the adjustment counselor, Mrs. Pierce, in for next year to be paid half, .60 FTE out of that, like we did this year.
So then there's
we can
only
keep
what,
her
like the
on.
40 grand left?
Yeah, and then
So we
there's
should,
nothing left.
let's
Yeah.
put
Right.
Esther on the agenda for the next meeting, just to understand what's being paid out of there now.
Yep.
Because some of those
Yep.
things we're paying, Esther's gonna be depleted.
Esther.
There's not gonna be an Esther 4, right? So
ESER 3.
unless,
Oh,
there won't
wait.
be an
There
Esther
will
4,
not be an ESER 4.
unless monkeypox
To my
takes
knowledge.
over.
Exactly.
So,
How many
yeah,
S's does
sure.
there were for?
There were 3.
Three.
Three.
So
Esther 4 the monkeypox.
two,
yes.
we'll have about 4,300 remaining
Okay.
after the school year.
Nothing's
My guess
allocated
is
from-
most of the time something comes up during
Of
the school
course,
year.
stipends
so,
or whatever,
yeah.
yeah.
And then about 60 of ESER 3.
Okay.
Which we already said,
Yeah.
25 is allocated to Gloria.
Right.
For next year.
Yeah.
Unless she
That's
left.
how it is now. We could also push, we already talked about.
Anything could be changed,
Everything,
right?
but all comes down
Yeah.
to what we get. and
Right.
do
Did
at
you
town
say
meeting.
40K was left on ESER 2?
60.
No, 60 ESER 3.
ESER
ESER 2
2
is
is
like
4,000.
4,000.
4,000,
Yeah,
oh, that's
yeah.
much different than 40.
Yeah.
It's like
And ESER 3 is 60.
Okay, which
We
40 is
just-
been allocated?
And ESER 1 was spent.
Yes.
That was,
Yep, that's
that was
complete.
the very first time they
Yeah.
did that summer program.
Cool stuff.
Yep, yep.
And all the COVID stuff, yeah, the
And that summer
supplies.
program came from the ESER 3 this year.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, that's what
Yeah.
they used, the ESER 3.
Mhm.
So what are they gonna do, so we have no idea if they're gonna even do that next year.
Mhm.
That's,
I'm
Just
sure it
improvement
will
plan thing again.
come up.
So I mean, I think-
so we need to bring that up.
Budget
All,
planning.
this is where I think, and I said this to, we're having a student success meeting on Monday. And on the agenda for the district improvement plans on the agenda for the meeting on Monday. And I think we'll probably eventually, these two committees, budget and
Yeah.
that one, which is really 5 out of 6, everyone but Lori is on one of those two committees.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're both committees, we're pretty really well informed by the end of the year on
Yeah,
all this.
that's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for a strong committee.
And I think we'll be much more productive at meetings.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even said, Laura was asking, I was talking to her yesterday about school committee goals, and like, when do we
Yeah.
do this? You send it to the subcommittee. Have the
Yeah,
subcommittee
send things to
for
subcommittee.
school committee effectiveness, the
Yep.
policy one.
Which
Have-
one is
have
that? The
them-
policy one, that's Mike.
Yeah, Paul, it's Mike, Bob and Lori, they're meeting at 11 actually.
Perfect.
So, okay, so the next page is then spending.
So this is the expenditures.
Okay.
So I use the same format that my predecessor used.
Yes, I remember.
Let's make a note that this kind of sit down with her should be like something for any new school committee member to do as part of their onboarding
Oh,
to
yeah.
the school committee.
Yeah.
Because like,
Yep.
I felt like I was learning, I feel like I was learning on the fly, all this stuff. I think we all were.
Sure.
On the
Everything,
fly.
I felt like there was nothing, it was so overwhelming the
Yeah.
first couple,
Yeah.
6 months, and I used to audit governmental entities, so
School
I
budget's
understand
confusing.
fund
It-
accounting.
you know,
I
yeah.
audited a school
Yeah.
district
Yeah.
though, so I
Yeah.
understand government,
Right.
but like still, I was just like, wait, what is this, what is that, what is that?
Like, I think Bob would benefit from sitting down for an hour with Nancy to go through this and understand it
Oh,
as
definitely.
well.
Right.
you know.
It's taken me 2 months to really figure out how he developed the budget for this year.
Absolutely.
But we also didn't see numbers
I
in
mean,
our
Bob,
field,
too, the new-
we
Yeah.
didn't
right.
see
Right.
numbers.
We
Right.
saw numbers, but I don't know that we
It
even
wasn't
knew what
that
to ask
early.
last year.
No, it was so late we saw numbers.
No, I like these tables with
There
your own
was a lot of
section.
other stuff going on, I think that was the problem.
Yeah.
Um,
So
Okay.
a couple things on this. One, I added below to kind of, I don't know, for me,
Okay.
it was kind of like, okay, so what's in this bucket? Administration, what's in this bucket?
Oh, that's
Yes.
So I
Thank
kind
you.
of put, I thought maybe that would help
Mhm.
members a little bit as to
Mhm.
what goes into it. And the other thing is, this isn't completely ready for you yet because we're still rolling over the year.
Yep.
So we should have it done, we hope, within another week. So once that is done, then everything will be filled in.
And throughout the year, this will change as you spend money, right?
Absolutely, yeah,
So,
yeah.
I think one of the things we should do here is approve one of us to be the one to sign the warrants going forward,
Mm.
because it's part of this subcommittee.
Christy just told me that I had to meet with Cheryl to do that.
So let's make a motion to
All right.
appoint Megan as the member of the budget subcommittee to review and approve warrants.
Sure.
So moved.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and Mike used to do that.
Yeah, but this way, this is always play, he was having to come from Berlin.
Right, that's
and,
right.
yeah,
So I'll just,
45 minutes.
she's gonna email me, I'll come in and look at them and approve them. Sounds good. All
So
right.
the only thing I put in here is what the budget is for each school. So you got your district-wide, Berlin,
Yep.
Boylston, and this should say
Yes.
Tohoto, the bottom one. Gotta change that.
Not Boyle.
Yeah,
That's
that's
Tohoto,
Tohoto.
okay.
Yep.
So I think from a, just quickly from a school committee kind of
Mhm.
administrative standpoint, like, we as the budget subcommittee have been approved to do the warrants, and now we at the budget subcommittee have appointed Megan to do it, so I don't, the school committee now shouldn't have to review and approve Megan again, because it's.
Right,
They
right.
handed that authority over to us, we gave it to Megan, and then Megan signs the warrants.
Yep.
So when you're signing warrants, Megan, my expectation is that as she looks through those, she's gonna be able to track against these different categories and see like, okay, this is a warrant specific to this
To where it
topic.
falls,
Okay.
absolutely, yep.
So, 19 million total budget,
Correct.
fixed charges, benefits, and insurance costs.
Most of it's payroll.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's instructional support to 10 million. So other services here, 1.4 million. You have those nursing and transportation. Is that the extent of what goes into that? Is that?
That is.
That's it, huh?
That is.
It's because the bus, so that's buses.
Buses.
But wasn't there, I can't remember where this was, but there was a huge cost, and I wasn't sure if it was transportation or if it was to pay for school for, it was like $700,000 for somebody in special education.
Probably, my guess
Out of
is.
the district.
That's
Out
out
of
of
district
district,
tuition.
but it was huge.
Yeah.
So that's, we're
It
seeing
was
that
the
then on the
Toronto
out
one.
of district tuition, so that's the 1.2 million we're paying.
Yes.
Does Assabet fall into that too? If anyone from the district's going to Assabet, we're paying? No, okay.
So the majority of that is like,
It's just all your out-of-district tuition, special
Yeah.
education students. Yeah.
What are we paying to the hunt, Aspen Collaborative?
I can get back to you on that.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm.
Okay.
But they're gonna pool next year anyways, right?
What's that?
The Huntos, Aspen's pool, admissions. So it used to be we had so many
Yes.
slots.
Yes,
Berlin did.
there-
I don't think
yeah.
Boylston pays into it, so you don't.
Boylston's not part of the collaborative.
No, but you had so many slots, but I think, I'm pretty sure Aspen's going to a pool.
Yeah.
So they're only taking, I think,
Certain
just
amount.
3, yeah, I think it's 3, that's what someone told me,
That's
that their
a
kids go
district
there.
improvement plan thing.
And then the rest is just
Oh.
pool.
Huh.
Yeah, 'cause they-
I would say we want to, on the district improvement plan, see something that addresses the opportunities for Boylston students to attend vocational.
yeah. I don't know why Boylston's not part of that
Because they
collaborative.
didn't originally, and they don't have an opportunity to now.
Oh.
I remember Assabet, he like, Jeff explained it
'Cause
at
they're
one
too big.
meeting.
They're too
Yeah,
big.
it's Assabet
Yeah.
won't take anything else, it's an Assabet thing, it wasn't an us thing,
That's
right?
a
District
shame.
improvement plan, so what do you wanna, we wanna try to what, Adam?
I just want to make, in the district improvement plan, see something around vocational opportunities for Boylston students.
So what
I know
other
what voc
vocational,
schools are there.
cause Shepherd Hill is too far away.
Was that Framingham?
No, that's like in Charlton.
Should there
Oh.
be, should there be course offerings at Tohoto that help bridge that gap?
That's a good idea. I mean Worcester, but I don't know if Worcester takes kids from,
We have, I mean, there are Boylston students who go to Assabet, and there might
Yeah, you just
continue to
have-
be, but you're not going to get first.
you have to go
preference.
through the regular
Right.
process, whatever that is, I don't know what that
Right.
is.
Well, that's soon to be for Berlin now too.
But
It's
Berlin's
very
going to have a leg
limited.
up, because Berlin's going to be part of the
Berlin
Assabet
still gets to
collaborative
go in
pool.
that pool.
And so all the Berlin kids that want to go are going to get in first, before any
No.
Boylston kids get considered.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You might not get all the
You-
Berlin
you-
kids in
you'll-
either.
I see what you're saying.
But
But
then
you
no
go in the
Boylston kids
pool.
are getting any at that point.
Yeah, if the pool, yeah, cause you at least get to go in that original
Correct.
pool, but you
Right.
said there's only 3.
I heard that number, I don't know if that's actually the number. There's a number.
So Assabet is so
It's a very small
popular.
number.
Yes,
It's a very, yeah, it's a great school now.
I know.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's always
No, no,
fun.
I know.
It's really, yeah.
Yeah, and they're just maybe they'll do another.
Well, I wonder, would there be opportunities for Boylston
Right, that's a
to
good
become
call.
part of another vocational collaborative that would potentially, with the
Okay.
transportation costs associated with it, but I don't know, I think it's worth exploring.
Yeah.
I mean, we could ask Jeff, yeah, I don't know, I know Worcester Voc and I know Shepherd Hill, I don't know of any other.
There's like Leominster, there's a bunch of.
There's
them.
gotta be, yeah, there's gotta be maybe up
Corridors.
in Leominster or something like that, yep, no, you're right. So we could bring that up.
Okay. Seems a better question on the expense side, so. So if I look at that 1 point, that million in the administration,
Mhm.
that includes all central office salaries.
Yes,
Okay.
yep, yep.
What's the status of the bus contract? I know that it's, we can back out of it at any point, because they asked us last year, but what is the, from a pricing standpoint, like, at what point do we do an evaluation to see whether we're getting a good deal, or if we're happy with
So
the services?
I haven't had a chance to review it yet,
Yeah.
but I was told that we just renewed it last year.
We looked at it though, I know the termination clause is pretty comfortable for us, like it's like the 30-day termination, no
Okay.
obligation.
Change
at
the
that
wording
point.
or something, yeah, you're
I
right.
remember checking that before we.
We checked it and we asked Bob to put it in, yes, you're right.
But if,
So
I
if
don't
you
know that
wanted
we
to
did any
go
kind of-
out for bid again, you could.
I'd like to know from you, not right now, but
Yeah.
think about whether that's something we should be thinking about. There's dissatisfaction right now.
Yeah.
in the community.
Did they fix the bus thing?
Well, the bus company that we have right now is the bus company we have.
I know, but did it come on time instead of dropping kids off 20 minutes early?
Well, where at BES?
Yeah.
I mean, the first day, Don Marie sent the bus out again to go do another route. I said, go do it again, because it got there
So-
too early. She said, go it again, do it again.
That's a
Well-
huge issue, I think.
Well,
Kids were getting sent back to the school because they were getting to their stop
Some kids got
15,
it.
20
Okay.
minutes early, and the parents weren't there. Because I mean, I'm always like just by the hair of my, you know, getting sure.
so that, what was that, the first or second day of school?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can have some-
unfortunately,
Yeah.
that is a very common occurrence
Yeah.
that does occur because,
Right.
first of all, I'm not positive, but I'm guessing the kindergartners weren't on the buses yet.
Oh, right.
Usually the first or second day, so it messes up the
Right.
times of the
Good call.
The
drop-offs.
second day,
Yeah.
yeah,
Good
they were
call.
on the second day.
Kids are more excited, they're at the, they
Yeah.
get off those
They
buses
take
really
pictures,
quick,
yeah.
they go running.
Yeah, no,
You
I got the
it,
first week.
I have learned that you have to give it a 2 week to it really
Was it
get
this week?
adjusted.
Did Henry get dropped off on time?
On the way home.
Yeah.
Henry's not allowed to get off the bus on the way home anymore because he ran away at the bus stop, so he's now doing after school program every day.
It's a lockdown.
Okay, so we don't know if the bus is actually on time anymore.
It's been early compared to the
Yeah.
schedule.
Still been
but
early.
We've gotten used to that at the stop because we know.
Yeah, people just are going to their
Early.
stop early.
Right.
This-
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to in the beginning to
You
work
gotta
out the
give it a
kinks.
choice.
Yeah.
And I think the other
As long
issue
as
is
it's
we still have two
consistent.
sub-drivers. They still have two people from the office driving, they're both Berlin buses. So I don't know if Berlin was part of the issue, but there's two Berlin buses where they have people from the office driving, and the people can change, constantly.
whoever it
And they
is.
don't know the runs,
Right.
and that doesn't help.
Last year,
That's the environment we're in, unfortunately.
we brought this up at school committee meeting last year because of the staffing issue with the bus company, and they couldn't staff the routes.
Yep.
Literally, kids were getting to school 30 minutes
Well,
late.
and we
Yep.
had.
Because one bus would do 2 routes.
We ended up
Yeah.
combining a route
Last
and
year.
having a really full.
Yeah, that was a
bus.
tricky
Yeah.
time. Right.
Yeah.
Well,
That
and there was also
it is
more
very
kids
hard to
last
find
year
drivers.
were getting dropped off. I think people will just default to drop off. I noticed the drop off line seems to be getting longer every
Yeah,
single
exactly.
day.
Oh, really?
Exactly.
Well, because people are just like fed up, but I don't know, do people pay for the bus here?
No.
No.
Well, so that's why people are just like, whatever.
Well, I mean.
But that messes things up too, right?
It does mess
Because
things
now-
up for the
There's a lot of
now.
drop-off.
You're not
Yes,
having the
there's a
kids at the
lot.
stops.
I think
Yeah.
I asked Ace and he said like last year, I think he said close to 100 and we've got like 250, yeah,
Yeah.
kids in the school. So I think that this year, I mean,
Well, on the way home, the after-school program is incredibly popular at BBS.
Yeah.
It's the best deal in town.
after
And just like 100,
school.
probably 150 kids into it.
Oh, wow.
But there's
What do
still,
you guys pay? What do you pay? Adam didn't know.
$178 but for what?
I don't
pay
do
a
after
day.
school.
For a day for after-school program, I pay $178 a month,
That's pretty good.
which is.
Till 6.
Till 6 for 3
That's in
hours.
Boylston?
Yeah, so 178 divided by 20, because it's 20 days a month.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's about $2 an hour. Is what it comes
So
out to.
you paid for
Like
the
$5 a day.
whole thing and then when Henry you can tell him what to
So
do.
you can
on-
pick individual days,
Yeah,
or you can buy the whole week.
yeah, so
That's
it's
what I
cheaper,
thought.
yeah.
'Cause
That way you
it's
can
cheaper
change
if
your
you buy the
mind.
whole week per
Right.
day.
and you can go pick them up whenever you want, yeah.
That's
I
very
did know,
cheap.
it's a really good deal, but that's comparable with other towns, I think.
We should offer like on Fridays to go to 9 p.m. so parents.
That's
can
not,
go
we
to
pay, ours is way more.
Can we go to
Who the
9
heck is gonna
p.m. on
stay
Fridays
at
so
the
we can have date
school?
night afterwards?
I bet you the
Get kids
teachers
in.
are literally standing at the door ready to
They
leave
do.
at 6.
Well, they, yeah.
Oh, they do?
Oh, yeah. No one's doing that.
Bob mentioned that, you know,
That's a good deal.
teachers who do after-school program in Boylston can have it has a significant impact on their take-home pay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But do they
Oh, they
also,
do.
can I ask you this, for those, I know they offer great after-school programming, things like cooking classes and in Boylston. Is that part of the program, or do you pay extra?
No, that's
for
a
that?
separate, like the Lego
Yeah.
you did last year was a separate thing.
Lego, no, yeah, like different, so we have Lego League, I don't know what else they have, I know we did Lego League, but that was dirt cheap too, it was, but that's run by a volunteer.
Yeah.
That's run by, actually, Jennifer Standard, she
Yeah.
has kids that are
Mhm.
here, yep, she volunteers her time for that, she collects, I think it was like $80-something to cover the cost of Legos and snacks.
Yeah.
So I think this is probably something.
And it was 10 weeks, Julie.
The content of like the after-school program. and
1 day a week.
Before school, let's send it over to the student success committee, send them to learn more about what's in the program.
Good idea, good idea, good idea.
And at Tohoto
Who's on that
too.
one?
Do they do one at Tohoto? Do they do that at Tohoto?
No, Tohoto needs
No.
help.
They don't have any after school?
It's athletics.
Not
That's
so
it?
much.
You're kidding me.
So maybe someone asked about this on the Facebook or something because they
Hasn't
went
been,
from 5th to 6th.
So like if you have kids in middle school, like if you want them to do after school, they don't have,
They're home at 2:15.
there's
Shut
no
down.
option. If they, let's say you have kids, I know your kids are athletic, let's say your kids
Aren't.
aren't, yeah, they wanna do art class or something, there's nothing. Now that's just backwards.
They tried to do some programming, like an engineering club.
Clubs,
Very
yeah, that's what I
few.
mean.
Very
That-
few, maybe 4 the whole year.
See, cause now when I was
I mean,
in
remember,
middle-
Tohoto has like no, we have no drama department. We have no music programs.
And this is why we lose kids to private school.
Yep.
Because even when I was in middle school, I remember that's when my mom started letting me do after school.
Oh my gosh, yes. My sister, she's a
We
Westford,
did
my
everything.
niece. Their after-school
Pottery.
program it's a
Yeah.
page and a half.
Pottery, art,
Yep.
theater.
And they pay for it though.
You pay, the parents pay.
Yeah,
It's
the
a
parents
moneymaker.
pay for,
You
yeah.
pay and then people would work, you pay a
Yep.
teacher.
And you pay them.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't cheap.
No, it's
let's send that to
So is
student
that
success.
student success?
Yeah, put it on there.
You put it on yours? All right, yeah, that's something.
That's very important.
And
Definitely
maybe that should
Tohoto.
be shot over to the
'Cause there's
district
nothing
improvement
there.
plan for
Yeah, so this is why, I mean.
year 3 or
between-
something.
I think the district improvement plan is gonna take a little bit more time to get worked out. I think we're looking at something that's being approved in
Yeah.
like December or January by us. I don't think we're gonna be approving it in October.
Mhm.
And we can talk more about that.
Yeah.
I think that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a huge thing, at least part of why I'm doing school committee is I wanna see Tohoto and Boylston Elementary School offer the same opportunities as, some of the other top-notch schools in
Of
the
course.
area.
I mean, my notes back to Jeff on the district improvement plan were basically like, are there things that are happening in Hopkinton and Wellesley and these Metro West districts that we're not offering because we don't think we can? And if
Westboro,
so,
Northborough, Shrewsbury,
put 'em on.
yes.
I want my kitchen sink on this district improvement plan, and then let us work with the community to figure out how we wanna prioritize
Yeah.
things. But I don't want Jeff and Carol to pull back on it, I want them to ask for the moon.
Ask for everything. Well, that's what we asked, we told him, yes, we want everything, put everything out there and
Right,
then,
let's keep going, I wanna make sure that we're almost an hour.
yeah, true, I know, you probably actually have other meetings.
So, okay, this is really helpful to understand the budget, this is great.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Non-union, next item we have is non-union compensation benchmarking. Not necessarily expecting you to have all the numbers today, but I'm interested in understanding for substitute teachers and for our administrative staff, including positions like your own.
Yep.
Principals, assistant principals, what are we paying as a salary to those folks and what are other districts like paying?
Pull up that sheet.
That's this sheet.
I kind of
Yes,
a lot more to go,
Yep.
a lot more to go.
That
This
is
is
85.
kind of my game plan of where to go. Substitutes,
Mhm.
this is a town, and if you have another town you would like me to benchmark it to, let me
Yeah.
know.
Where did you get these numbers?
140 a day,
Colin.
Shrewsbury?
Like,
Speaking
okay,
to
because
other business
somebody
managers.
told me
Yeah.
that, my mom has multiple friends that sub in Shrewsbury, they said they get 90 a day. They're retired teachers.
Hmm.
They sub at Coolidge School. cause one of them was gonna come
So
work
I
at
called
BES and she was just like, oh,
Yesterday, and that's
that's
what they told
way
me.
better.
Maybe they must have increased it.
They must have increased
Maybe
it.
she was like under an old,
This is the challenge, I think. If you're a retired teacher or you want to sub, would we go to Shrewsbury for $140 a day?
now, but
You-
that's what I'm saying, some of
They
these
must
people were
have
like,
just
I'll go to
increased it.
Boylston for 95.
Right. And then long-term in Shrewsbury.
Yeah,
they're
but I'll
giving
tell you,
280.
sorry for interrupting, they weren't getting paid 95, is this, when is this?
This is, Lori
This, it just,
just put Jeff and Karen increased it.
95?
It was 85, okay. 'cause I
Yeah,
remember
we
it was-
oh,
just-
did that get increased this year?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that
I
was-
think this
yeah.
might be, is that today, it's 95?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 95.
Yeah, cause
Yeah.
they were getting 85, that's right, last.
Okay.
Because I mean, look, it's a 7-hour day, right?
I think they changed it middle of the year last year, cause Ace told me 95 at the end of last.
They did, but they didn't retro anybody that was working. Everyone still got 85.
So I mean, you're
So it
talking,
was
Unless-
you're right, it was moving forward.
Unless you came in whatever,
Unless you
January,
started,
yeah.
or like, yeah, it
But if
might-
your paperwork was done,
$95 for a 7-hour day is $13 an hour.
I know,
That is atrocious.
I know.
It should be around 200, in my opinion. I don't think we want to go that high, but I mean, it
It
shouldn't
should
be
definitely be
95.
minimum wage. Oh my.
Right? I mean, you're skirting
Yeah,
the
cause you're not
numbers
getting
there.
benefits,
I
you're
think
not
it's only $20 an hour.
getting, yeah, you're not getting benefits.
Yep.
To me, 140 is about $20 an hour, is around where it should be.
Yep.
Especially given the
Doable? Is that
benchmarking
even
you see.
doable?
How much we spend, what's this? how much we
That's
spend on subs?
that's such little, yeah, it's so little.
It's so hard to tell because it was
Yeah.
such a weird
Put in
year
the budget.
in the last 2 years.
An extra $50 a day for a sub.
Oh,
How
more
many-
than that.
I can look back.
Go
Subs are-
prior
No, say, if
history.
you go from 95 to 140,
Oh,
Yeah.
you're
okay.
talking
Say
about $50
salary.
more a day.
I mean,
How many sub days do we have a year in the building?
How many subs per day?
Oh, a gazillion
But no, I don't
Probably
think
like
for
10.
for the year,
in the district?
No, 10 per
You're
day, 10 per day, so
10 per day per baby.
10, 180 days.
No,
God, it's
10 per
gotta be
day.
more than 10 per day in the district.
No, I don't think so.
no.
I don't know with this district.
Really?
Yeah, I think
No.
subs a day.
Think
No.
about, you have a middle school, a high school, 2 elementary.
We've
schools.
only got, we got 100 staff. We just did the cookies, we had 100 staff, so 10% is absent every
That's a
day.
big, that's a.
And that's a big
yeah,
percent.
that is.
Think about it. So 10 is, so if we're talking 50 a day times 10 people, that's $500 a day
Times 180 days.
times 180 days. So we're looking at 90 grand.
Now you've been on the budget to go from 90.
Didn't we
Look
do
at the ballpark.
200? No, we did 200 cookies, didn't we?
No, oh, you're right,
we
yeah, no,
definitely
she's
do
right, there was
100.
100 staff at Tohoto, and there's, yeah,
Even
200,
at
so that's still 5%.
I think 5% is still decent, 5% a day. Maybe it's mid, it's more, but I don't think it's that much.
Oh, guys, we're still in this
Let's-
COVID.
I'll look
rush.
into it, I can get a history.
Find out how many sub days we have a year.
The prior years might be tough because of COVID.
That's what I mean.
You know, they're
This
gonna
is
be-
Well,
hard
yeah,
to-
because when people were
Yeah.
out for
Right.
COVID, they had to be out for 10
Well,
days.
what was it in 19? What's the, in
Right,
2019?
maybe
Oh, you're
go
saying
back to
2019.
19.
Yeah,
I might do
19,
that.
19 will probably
How
give
many
us a better
sub days
idea.
do we
Good
have?
idea.
I
Good
actually
idea.
think it'll be more than 2019 in the current year, because I do think people have become more cautious about if they're sick or
Being
not
sick,
feeling
They
well.
stay, yeah, you're right.
Yes, or just, you know, they use it as an excuse,
Mhm.
whether they, you know, like, oh, well, I have the sniffles today,
Well,
so.
at the
Yeah.
same time, think about this, right?
So-
Speaking of subs, you know better than most, it's important to have good subs.
Oh, for sure.
Yes,
Mhm.
my
And
son
so
has a
if
long-term
you
care,
pay,
yeah.
if you pay the right rate and you can offer a sub a month of
Mm-hmm.
consistent opportunity for that
Right,
month,
right.
because someone's on maternity leave,
Sure.
we want to get the best
Sure.
sub in the area. And those subs can work in any district they want any day. They're not
They
like
can.
contracted to one
Right,
specific
right.
district.
Right,
So I bet there's some super subs who work in multiple districts.
of course. Well, there's people that's their
Just
job,
call
that's all they wanna
That's what they do
do.
when they're retired.
Super subs, they go everywhere.
Well,
Wouldn't
on a
you-
badge
wouldn't-
it says
Wouldn't you
super sub.
take the biggest, I mean, you get
Of
3 phone
course.
calls that
They're
morning and
gonna-
say, you
yeah.
can go to
You're
Vernon
choosing
Hill,
Shrewsbury
or you can go to
for sure.
Shrewsbury, where are you
I
gonna
know,
go?
Shrewsbury,
Right.
Oh, never gonna.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'll do some digging and homework on that.
But this is
Yeah.
really helpful just to see. right off
This
the
is
bat.
helpful, yeah.
Okay.
That's
High school
great.
principals, what was Diane at?
Oh, I have it.
Can I interrupt you, go back to
Yeah.
subs for 1 second? If this can be changed then, if you find like, oh my gosh, wow, there's this many, we could do this, how does that happen?
They can just do it, Jeff, you
Yep.
guys can do that.
Oh, they
Wait,
can just do
so
it.
21st day BA 0, okay, so they go to the, yes, the
So
BA
they go
0,
into the
yep, got it. Yep,
teacher
so they
line.
would go to the teacher line. But subs don't have, even a long-term sub doesn't have to have a teacher license.
No, but
No?
you don't get
But-
paid more, in other districts, there's
Well,
a,
I mean, you look at Marlboro here pays 110 or 120 if you have a license.
yeah, that's what I
Right,
was
so
gonna say,
that
with
if
the
you're
license,
retired,
you
but
get paid
sometimes they don't keep the license up after they retire, so that's, I'm not about the license for a sub, but
I don't have that, so.
You might want to offer the license one more money though. You might want to.
Diane's salary you can probably look up online, I looked up ACES,
Like
I,
135.
the ACE
Like I have
was
salaries.
100.
Ace was 110.
Was it 110? Yeah, because I saw his contract online, so I mean, you just gotta Google.
Ace was 110. Ace and John are almost the same right now for the contracts.
Actually, this
And you can find the contract in the drive, then you for the.
They're in the drive.
Oh, yeah, it is in the
Look
drive,
up
yep.
Thompson or look up Campbell, you're pulling up.
Yep,
I mean, it's public record.
I
yep,
can give
Yeah.
Diane.
Yeah, so,
okay.
But I think one of the questions I had when Ace was departing, the question I had for Jeff was, is there a financial component to the departure here? And are we not paying our elementary school principals competitively with neighboring districts? And I think we have typically been a little low on salaries for principals. I don't know where we are from a central
Well,
office standpoint, but I know what Mr. Conry got for the new district he went to, and it's closer to what Jeff makes than it is to what Nancy's making right now. It's maybe more than what Jeff makes.
So he's in Concord.
he's in Concord,
He is,
so,
but-
I mean,
but
we do
you
have
have
to kind of
someone
stay in our
who-
lane,
you have a
but
long-
yeah.
Term senior administrator who left primarily for financial
Sure,
reasons.
sure.
Now, maybe we don't want to compete with Concord when it comes to those numbers, right?
Right, well,
But I
yeah.
want to know, I want to
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'll add our payroll person, AR, AP, I'll add all central office.
And,
Yeah.
you know, a big part of it is kind of like you get, you're gonna, so Bob is
So
probably gonna have.
Diane's salary as of July 1st, 21
Mhm.
was 131, 144.
So she was 131.
So where, if you look at, I'd like to see,
Well,
I think you have some of the right, Shrewsbury, Northborough, to
Mhm.
me, are critical
Yeah.
on this, across it, and,
So you're gonna fill these in?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Sterling, Hudson, Clinton, I care less about, but
Okay.
but if you can't get all of
what
them,
about
that's okay.
Lancaster? No?
You don't put Lancaster, I mean, to
Is
me,
that
the
when
ones
that-
I,
I don't have it on here.
I'd like to maybe put Grafton.
Okay.
I, as I think about like when I was looking for a house, and the
Mm.
communities
Mhm.
I considered Berlin, Boylston, Shrewsbury, Northborough. That's what I looked at.
Yeah.
And, but maybe we also want to look at Holden,
Wachusett.
Wachusett.
So, and somebody said they pay less?
So I'm more interested in
But-
Wachusett
We'll see.
than I
Okay.
am in Hudson or Sterling.
Okay.
Well, Sterling is Wachusett,
Is it?
yeah. Sterling's
Oh,
part of
yeah.
Wachusett.
Yeah,
We've looked at-
so
get
that's,
some more
So that
detail.
might be, that's probably, now Wachusett, because their district is so, the towns are so different, they might, maybe at Sterling, maybe they pay different salaries for their
I
principals.
bet they don't.
I don't know.
Yeah, but another consideration is these aren't middle high schools.
Oh wait, Sterling doesn't have a high school. Sterling only has Wachusett
Yeah,
Regional High
Wachusett
School, so
Regional,
this
right.
must be the salary
And
for
it's probably
Wachusett.
not fair to compare the Wachusett Regional Principal's salary, they have thousands of kids,
Right.
to the town.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
mean,
it's, look at, it's
you expect it to
less.
be a little lower.
Wait, Sterling,
Yeah,
125,
which-
861, it's way less.
No, that's not,
Why wouldn't we compare what we're comparable?
Is this number in here accurate?
yeah. I got it
One
yesterday.
twenty-five, 861.
that's Wachusett Regional's principal? You sure it's not part of Wachusett?
I'm positive. You can Google it.
So if we think about
Go ahead.
comps, which ones do we want to know?
Here.
Grafton, Shrewsbury,
I would say what's comparable to us.
Grafton,
So
Shrewsbury.
every town I put touches Berlin or Boylston.
Okay.
That's how I went about it.
Northborough,
Yeah.
West Boylston.
Walden, Paxton, Princeton, Rutland, and Sterling.
If
So
you're a
you're
principal,
talking about proximity, the
Is that what
location.
I'm thinking if I'm a
Wachusett.
principal.
So Sterling
who
is
lives in
Holden,
this
Paxton,
geographic
Sterling,
area,
and
doesn't
Rutland?
move,
Holden,
What school am I
Paxton,
gonna look at?
Princeton,
What are we
Rutland,
principal at?
and Sterling.
Okay.
Well, there's the competitive landscape.
Hmm.
I think
They all
it's-
have
I think it's-
different elementary and middle
Based
schools.
on-
Okay, I see, so that's what you're
And then
talking
they all
about.
come
I
together.
care less
I
what they're
would
paying
more-
Western Mass or in Eastern
No,
Mass.
and it's a different landscape there too. I was thinking more of like, let's look at who else are middle high schools. What are they paying?
Well, I think we wanna
What's
know
their-
that.
Yeah,
But I want to know it specifically for like, what is the Shrewsbury High School principal get paid?
yeah.
What are the elementary school principals principals in Shrewsbury.
Yeah, I would do that, yep, that's good.
Because if
Yeah.
I'm a principal, if I'm Del Marie, and there's no putting in Shrewsbury, and there's no putting here, Shrewsbury's offering me 20 grand more.
Sure.
But I do think too, to some extent, and I'm not trying to be cheap, you have to look, it's so hard because I can't even think of a district that's comparable to us because we are still smaller. Boylston has 5,000 people, Shrewsbury has 40,000 people. What
But-
does Berlin have? 5,000, less than
But
5,000?
But how many kids?
33.
3,300?
Yeah.
So we're talking like 7,000 people.
But think
Yeah.
about
So
the
the
job.
districts.
What's the job? How
The
many
school is
students are at
best.
Floral Street School? I don't know.
I think like 500.
Okay, so then 300, I think that's a comparable job. Being the principal of the Floral Street School, the Spring Street School, is a comparable job to being principal of Boylston Elementary. If you're a principal, or you want to be a principal, and those two jobs are open, you'd apply for both of them.
Yeah.
I think I would guess this job is gonna be more heavy, Shrewsbury would be more heavy lifting
It might
than
be, so that's,
Boylston.
I think we can consider that when we think about the benchmarking.
Yes.
But
I
still,
can add a column for enrollment.
but still, do you
to
want to,
know
yeah.
How many are in the schools?
But still, do you
That's a
want to
good
lose a
idea.
principal to Floral Street School
No.
for 10 grand a year? I don't.
Not for
No,
10 grand,
no.
no.
And that's what I think we're talking. I think we're talking about a $10,000 to $20,000
Probably.
difference between
Yeah,
us and them.
and yeah, we should get enrollment, because I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I think
All right.
middle school.
Not that any of
principals
it's easy, because it's still,
The other
still
thing
extra
that's
work.
gonna be
It's
important-
But, so thank you, we
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
it.
Is understanding on the assistant principal side.
Mm.
I'd like to see what high school assistant principals are getting paid,
Yep,
Right, because
And
all these have assistants.
elementary school assistant principals, because we don't have assistant principals in our elementary schools.
yep.
And I don't know if that's something we want to put in the district improvement plan and consider whether it's a full-time assistant principal, or is there a teacher that you take some load off of and make, her the assistant principal? I don't know, there's all kinds of ways to do it. But I know that at Thomas Prince, there's a full-time assistant principal.
How many kids?
Beth Ann, were they 500, I think?
No, he said there
That's
was,
an
no,
elementary
he,
school?
remember he told us,
Oh, it's K-8.
he told us it was only 100 more than, I thought he said 300, 350
Yeah,
or
it's not that much
something.
bigger, you're right, it's not that much bigger.
Because he was like, I only have 80 more names to memorize, or
Yes.
something like that.
Hmm.
So it's like 80 bigger than BES.
But the assistant principal piece, I think we'd like to understand, I'd like to understand where are there full-time assistant principals and what schools in the area?
Yeah.
And what are they getting paid? And
Yeah.
specifically, as we think about the
Yeah.
planned reorganization at Tohoto, we're gonna have another assistant principal line there based on what Jeff said he wants to do. So that's gonna be 100
What-
and X.
Is he still doing principal, assistant principal for middle high
He's a
school?
principal and then 2 assistants,
Okay.
but that's an
One
additional assistant
principal
from what we have
and two.
today.
Yeah, one principal and then
Two
So there's
assistants,
another-
yeah, that's what we talked about,
In
yeah.
other words, there's another administrative line at that point, which is gonna be 100 and something.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great, just,
Right.
it's needed there at that school.
I would think so too.
Oh my God.
You have 2 schools in one, you need to,
Everything.
yes,
So elementary, I know we're at about 110.
yeah.
Um,
Under 10.
Is that what we ended up with Dawn Marie?
I don't know, what I don't, she's interim too, so the actual.
Valid, could be anything.
So I think about the elementary school principal side, and I once again point to Grafton, Shrewsbury, Northborough, West Boylston, maybe even Bolton's Neshoba Valley, right?
Mhm.
So Neshoba,
Mm.
Marlboro.
Yeah, Sterling is the Wachusett too,
Yeah.
so I think
Stowe,
that's,
they're Neshoba,
Okay.
Lancaster.
I don't want you to have to.
this
go
might
for
be
a
the
million
school
dollars.
in Sterling though,
No,
because
this
I
is a pretty good
bet
idea.
there's so many different elementary schools in
Mhm.
Wachusett, so I think
Mhm.
that,
And then central office staff, it would certainly be helpful if we can get some information on what superintendents are making right now.
superintendents, yeah.
Given what we're gonna be heading, I think we know what it is, but.
Yep, I'll throw that in there, yep. Great.
Okay.
Wow, not to give you all this
This is
work,
great.
Nancy,
Oh, it's fine.
but this is really great.
It's either we give her work or Jeff gives her work, and she'd rather have work or give her.
This will be very helpful though, yeah.
Yeah, good.
I like this budget timeline, did you make this?
I mimicked what Bob did.
Oh, that's
This
right,
was
okay,
very
I was like, I
similar to
feel
Bob's.
like I
Yeah.
have
I wanna
seen,
share an email with you guys that I got from Tracy Novick too. So I reached
Oh.
out to Tracy,
yeah,
who's the MASC
Yeah.
representative for budget stuff.
and she's on the Worcester School
And she
Committee.
emailed me back last night, I'll tell you what she said, but give me a second, I'll pull up the agenda right here. Make sure we're on the right. Okay, so we did budgeting, expenditures, great budget process, okay, timeline. So I emailed Tracy and just asked her for some information on, you know, hey, we've done some reorganization on our school committee, created new subcommittees to enable us to work on things more efficiently. One of these new committees is the budget and finance, budget and facilities subcommittee. I'm interested in learning how other districts that have finance-related subcommittees manage their processes. And I said we have a desire to get involved earlier than has typically happened in our district in the past, because we feel the school committee has been brought into the budget process somewhat late after several rounds of revisions between the central office and individual schools. Which is what happened last year. We got numbers that came to us from Jeff and Bob, but we didn't see how the sausage got made below that, based on what Ace or John or Diane or others asked for. So one of the things she said here, she says, one difficulty is when what I alluded to about rounds of back and forth. If central administration, she says, is in effect negotiating with schools, which they are, especially about cuts, in that it can make the school committee feel left out of the loop, which is how I felt last year. I think there are things that Ace, I know, asked for, but got cut for reasonable reasons, and even there were some last minute cuts that kind of came to us at the last minute. So she says, this is where a subcommittee can be helpful, as that can provide a place for administration to outline some of the decisions they may be grappling with without their coming forward with a full proposal until they're ready to. So I think that as we look at this timeline, we have to think about those, where do we get involved?
Perfect.
And how do we get involved as a subcommittee?
Yep.
Okay. So I think that October, November, we can have principals work with school councils and staff.
Yeah.
I think
We
you
need
come
to
right
get
after
subcommittee
that.
into there.
Yep.
Or we could like take turns, so like Julie can go to the Berlin, I could go to Toronto, you could go to or whatever, we could meet so that we
One
could
of us
kind of
don't
divide
know
and
makes
conquer.
sense.
Cause it would be crazy for us all three to go to all, although.
So the principals are then meeting with their school councils to determine budget needs.
Mm.
So we should talk to,
And I'm gonna change that to more October,
okay.
just so,
And
because I
then-
would like to have it in my hands by the end of October.
Okay.
Yeah.
October, November, meet with town officials, discuss the budget guidance. We can just talk about whether we want to do that. Okay, then there's November 18th. Principals, administrators submit preliminary budget requests to the Director of Finance. So we probably have to get involved somewhere there too,
Yeah,
to
you
see
might
what they're asking
go
for.
meet with the FinCom or whatever, right?
Well, this is just saying that there's a step where the principals submit a budget to the central office. And the central office goes back to them and says, okay, here's what we're gonna push through to the school committee as part of the budget process. But I think subcommittee involvement is needed there.
Mm-hmm.
In the first week of December, discussion resources needed. Okay. Discussion.
I was talking about meet with town officials to discuss preliminary budget guidance. Do you think the school committee should go to that meeting?
I don't know if that means you know. I think that we have allowed the finance committees to drive this process. And I'm interested in us driving this process as a school committee and as a budget and finance subcommittee.
So you think that meeting?
Well, I think we should have a meeting with them, but I don't know that we should take what they tell us and bow down to it.
Oh, I agree.
Right.
Right, I agree, they're gonna request a meeting.
They're gonna say, oh, 3%, okay, well, we're gonna say, well, we're gonna go to 10. And this
Yeah.
is why.
So,
Right.
but I'm wondering if this committee should be present at that meeting.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
we should have our stuff before we meet with them. I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's kind of,
Yes.
you know what I mean? So then we can be like, okay.
I think
well,
what's happened is we've had that meeting, and they've
That's a
told
good
us a
point,
target,
Nancy.
and we've worked towards that
I
target.
think we should reverse
Yeah,
it.
I bet you that's exactly what they did, is,
Let's
yeah.
reverse it.
Yep.
You're okay with that?
I agree.
Because then we know
Get
what
our
we're
act
asking for.
together too.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to figure out where do our deadlines come in, so when should we put our budget? Okay,
Yeah, so the principals should submit it first, you mean?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, and
exactly.
we should talk about it first. So one of the things I'm.
And that's November 18th, that needs to be pushed way up, because I bet you the town officials wanna meet early November.
Oh, wait a second, I'm looking at towards the end of this, can we work backwards for a second?
Yeah.
So we're all moving towards, though, this regional public hearing on the 28th of February.
Yes.
And so if we look
Well, yeah,
back
that's
from
when we
that,
vote.
how much time do we really have? So for example, I look at this district improvement plan presentation, September or October.
Mhm.
I think we need a line here for the school committee approves district improvement plan. And I
Yep.
think that's gonna happen in December. So I think some of this stuff is gonna get pushed a little bit, because I think that there are gonna be a couple rounds of revisions
Mhm.
to the district improvement plan and a process of collecting public input into the district improvement plan to help inform it. So I think as we think about, and we had the conversations with the PTO that we happened to be at last week, Megan, right?
Yes.
And we look at the results of the superintendent search survey. There's a strong desire from people who are speaking up to see our budget increased
Yeah.
in the school. And so
Yeah.
I'd like to get the
We need
community
money.
involved in the district improvement plan process so that they understand what we're trying to accomplish and then
Yeah.
buy into that. And
Yeah.
then we figure out how much it's gonna
Mhm,
cost.
mhm.
And we say, okay, the community has told us that these are the things they wanna see, and this is the timeline in which they wanna see them, and this is what it's gonna cost, and that's the number. And I don't think we capitulate to anyone in town administrative positions or other boards when it comes to that. I think we have to push for what the
What
people
we
tell us they
decide,
want.
yeah.
Including maybe going all the way to town meeting to get
Yeah.
voted for.
Mhm.
And I say we do. Because I look at the district improvement plan, the first draft of it, and I think it's too slow.
Mm.
I think we're all parents, and I'm not interested in seeing these things happen 3 years now.
Yeah.
I'm interested in having next year. if
So
not this
we
year.
have a Boylston perspective. We don't have a Berlin perspective.
We do, it's just right here.
I know we do, but that's why you have to, because we know for sure we would be able to get approval to get more money.
There's strong support in the community
Even,
for
I think people would even
schools.
agree to have taxes raised if they
If we get that
knew,
point.
yes. But I don't know if that's the case in Berlin. 'Cause I just don't know the
We
town well
have-
enough.
We have out of 3,300 people, 1,000 are seniors.
Right, so I mean, that might,
So
it
that's
might
a
be
big
a
number.
different
But no, but it's still a growing population of youth,
people with
too.
families, yeah.
It's all about who shows up on town meeting to vote.
Exactly, and right.
So, and young people they're
Too
don't.
busy,
Yeah.
but that's what we need to
Represent 1%
corral
of that.
that, like, put it on your calendar, come
Sure.
and, like, that's what Ace was really good at.
Right.
When he wanted something specific, I remember going, I didn't know Ace.
Same, that's what we do
My kids
too.
were, my kids were like babies, and
Right.
my neighbors were like, please, all 50 of us from Compass Circle, we all went and voted.
Yeah,
But Berlin
But
is
Berlin
funding their
needs,
school at a different level than we are.
they absolutely are.
oh yeah.
So if we look
So
at
they
where
might
the-
not
where the
need-
increase is needed to create equity between the two elementary schools.
Yes,
it's
it's
important.
Boylston, so it's gonna be kind of like, I feel like it's gonna be like a Boylston needs more.
Did you guys look
Um,
at the master plan? Did you look at that Boylston master plan?
Not yet, I know, I
I
So
know.
haven't seen
I looked at
Boylston.
it
I've
a
seen
little bit
Berlin.
this week, and, you know,
They're,
if you
they
look
were
at-
supposed to send it to me, I don't know if I have it
It's
yet.
on the website, but if you
It
look
should be
here,
on the
like,
website.
population growth projections, they have 2020 at 4849, so 4,800 people in the town, and 2040, 5,000 people, only 150 people moving to town between now and 2040. That sounds a little conservative.
Wow.
And it's interesting, if you look at this, like, there's,
Especially with the amount of open land. I know people don't want builders to come in.
so here's,
Gonna happen.
I'll read this to you from the,
Right?
from the Boylston.
Depends how strong you're.
Well,
From the master plan for
conservation.
Boylston, right?
I know.
So Boylston, part of the BBRD district. Boylston Elementary is in good condition. The facility is fully accessible. According to the National Center of Education Statistics, enrollment at BES has been consistently climbing. In the 2020-2021 school year, enrollment was projected at 224. Actual enrollment was 278, an all-time high. Average class size at Boylston Elementary is 18 students. Classes are capped by the district at 20 students.
and that's not true
So it was
anymore.
50 over the projection?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
Who's
20
doing that projection?
And
A public
there's
survey.
classes with more than 20 kids, so that's false information.
A
It's
public
not
survey
capped.
of Boylston Elementary School parents indicated that most feel it's important to keep class sizes small.
But who does the projection, the planning board?
I don't know where this projection came from, they're referring to.
I have to go to this meeting, so I'll let you know. Oh
Oh,
my
yeah,
God,
find
they're
out who
doing a
does the
Zoom
projections.
meeting, they do them on
And
Wednesdays.
Jeff has on his goals to do better enrollment projecting for us for next year. He wants to look at that and do our own.
And do your own.
And it goes on to say in this report, so this is what the master plan committee is kind of writing down.
The steering.
Capacity and space are issues faced by all schools in Boylston. The local birth rate and enrollment rates have been rapidly increasing. There's a concern for the town does not have enough resources to meet its educational needs. As of 2022, classroom space is limited and the number of students per class is nearing maximum capacity. There are 3 possible spaces that could serve as additional classrooms if needed at Boylston Elementary School.
Yeah.
There's a makerspace for STEM, there's a technology room, there's a classroom
Well,
for
we had
storage.
that.
There's 3 spaces there that aren't being used for classrooms right now. Based on projections for 2023, the principal of BES has asked for an additional teacher, which we did. The teacher will require a classroom, further reducing classroom options. So even if you go to 3, if you have a 3rd teacher in all the grades,
Yes,
we're gonna
yes.
lose one of those other 3 spaces that aren't classrooms. Now that you have 2 extra spaces that could become classrooms. But as Jeff has said, the problem at BES is more related to cafeteria in getting people in and out of that and making the one capacity an hour.
So Adam, let me ask you this. I'm reading the minutes, she sent me the minutes from the last meeting, and I'm remembering, they're gonna meet again, he said either in September or October, all their meetings are on Zoom. So they bring up these things at this master plan steering committee, I'm reading, members present, it's all these volunteers, I don't know who any of these people
Yeah.
are. Members absent, Laurie, totally understandable, Claudine, who I think is,
Yep.
Parks and Rec, Matt Neekum, who's
Yeah.
our selectman.
Yeah, so usually the master plan, how, at least we do it in our town, is it's written by a company.
Right, that's what they do.
But they meet with all the committees
People who are-
and say, yes.
So
we
Richard
would meet
Baker
with
must
rec.
be the company person must be CMRPC.
So
I would just find
my
out who's
point
got
about the
those
master
numbers.
plan is just that, like, reading what's in there, there's an awareness by those people that
Yeah.
there's an impending problem here. and
Right.
Something needs to be addressed.
Right, that's great.
But are we actually listening to what the master plan committee is putting out there?
Well, they just put out a draft, that's where I got that from.
Oh, this is a new draft.
This is the first public draft I've seen of the master, it's right on the Boylston.gov
Yeah.
page.
All right.
Now,
They actually have to write them every so many years.
yeah.
So is the town actually gonna
35
like do
years.
what it says?
Well, I mean, that's,
They have to.
no. I think it's more, it's a study.
Yeah, it's a study, yeah.
So it's more to help.
It's like a blueprint to
We
help
can
our
use it as
town.
a tool to
Yeah.
help get votes for
What it
why we
tells
need more
me
money.
is that the community is aware of
Yeah,
this
they're aware.
challenge we face in the district.
Right,
Okay.
exactly, yeah.
So,
It's a great thing to have.
I think as I look at this timeline, I think we're probably gonna wanna bump out where the district improvement plan gets approved
Mhm.
to later in the year,
Move it
and
down.
then base
Yeah.
the budget timeline around when we're gonna approve the district improvement plan. I think that district improvement plan is likely to get approved by us December, January timeframe. Because what I think we're gonna ask of Jeff and Carol is to do a period of community input, feedback, and listening on the plan before we lock it in as the plan.
So are you saying you don't want the preliminary budget to go to the school committee until that's approved? So the November
Yeah.
18th?
I think that,
So you don't-
I think it can come to the subcommittee.
okay. By November 18th.
Yeah.
And then after the district plan is approved, then you'll see the preliminary budget?
Correct. Because I think that it's impossible for them to put a budget request in until we know what's in the district improvement plan and when those things start to fall. Because I already saw some things that are in the district improvement plan. Like, so there's something in there to move, it's like 2 to 3 aides for kindergarten two brought in next year in BES, then 1 the year after. Why aren't we just bringing 3 next year?
I don't understand that either.
So I think there are some things like that where
It's money.
we're being,
The only thing that might
yeah.
be an issue is when FinCom's scheduled. So the budget has to get approved by FinCom, which,
But it
I don't
has to
know.
go to FinCom and approve it.
yeah,
Right.
right.
They recommend.
Right. When does that
Right.
happen? What's the FinCom part?
Usually it's in the January timeframe.
So then let's do this. Let's plan to then, and we can talk to Lori about it at the school committee meeting.
We have one next
move
Tuesday.
to have the district improvement plan approved at the November meeting.
That would work great.
Okay.
Yeah,
So then we'll push for the administration to spend time in October
yeah,
Working on it.
working
Yeah.
on
yeah.
getting
That sounds
feedback
great.
from
That's
the
gonna- yeah.
community. Because I want to
With the
see
subcommittee and working with the subcommittee.
the student success subcommittee is
Yes.
going to do that.
Yep, your
To work with
subcommittee,
them. And I
yep.
think there needs to be a series of opportunities for the public to sit down, with the current superintendent, and if we've identified a new superintendent, the new superintendent in
Yep.
particular, to talk about the things that people want to see
Yep.
during that October period.
So what do we have on the September agenda?
It's packed.
That's what I'm
So
thinking.
the meeting for next week
Because
is,
we have all the intros.
that agenda's not, no, that's coming off. So what, the agenda that Lori sent to Christie yesterday has intro to new staff, interview of an internal candidate for the position of superintendent of schools,
So we're doing the interview.
and then subcommittee reports,
Okay.
and then superintendent's report, which is the new staff intro, superintendent goals that he has. And then all the administrative reports, Lori asked Christie to have them be written and not necessarily have any of the senior administration
Have to
present.
present.
They'll have their reports submitted to us, we'll read them. If we have questions, we can ask them there. If we know we're gonna have a question, we can make sure that person's there. But I think several of us have felt that, we talked about it at the workshop last week, whenever we had it, that the school committee is too long.
Yeah.
And the more we can push the subcommittees,
You think?
the more we can push the subcommittees, the better. But I think that the majority of the meeting on Tuesday is gonna be dedicated to an interview.
So
once that
when
public- once that's
are we gonna
posted-
be able to dissect the district improvement plan in a school committee meeting?
So I think what's gonna happen is we interview a superintendent candidate. We, at the first meeting in October, or if we use
Yeah.
that, we
We use as
might
needed.
use that September 27th date, which is an as-needed date, specific to,
September
considering-
27th, you mean?
yeah. So we might consider
Uh,
using that
It's
just
all board meeting
for,
that night, but I'll cancel
just
that. All right.
for a potential
Mhm.
discussion of a superintendent candidate,
Yeah,
whether to
maybe.
appoint that person.
Appoint the person,
Yep.
yeah.
And then October
then-
would become with a presentation of that initial district improvement plan.
And then we might need the second one.
And then I would take, if, depending who, what the situation is from a transition standpoint, once that district improvement plan comes to the table, ask Jeff and Carol to go and take that plan and collect community feedback on it. And use the month of October to revise it.
So that needs to be presented at the end of September or the beginning of October.
Yeah, the first meeting in October, I think is when we do it. And then by November, we could have it for.
Get it voted.
Perfect.
Yep, love it.
Sounds great.
Great.
And that, it's a great opportunity in October for community engagement with our existing administration.
Yep.
And to indicate our
Yeah,
openness.
we
and
need to make sure
Desire to
that
get that feedback.
that plan is presented at the meeting and it reflects everything that we have discussed and wanted
Right.
and,
So student success meeting is Monday.
okay,
So I think
Are you
Bob
on
and
that
Mike
team
and
too?
I.
No.
it'd be Bob and Mike.
okay.
Will be looking through the improvement
Dream
plan.
team.
You guys are on the negotiations team. You get the fun.
I love that one.
Julie, it's me, you and Mike
I
now.
love that.
Why did they take Laurie off?
Lori stepped down.
'Cause I think
because of
she-
just
yeah.
Other chair responsibilities.
Yeah, being chair is so much.
I know.
It's
That one
so
Monday.
much.
Yeah, let's
So,
wrap this up.
Okay, so I think that
Great.
makes sense.
I'll make those revisions.
Do that. Okay.
All right.
And I think,
That
what,
is
I think,
great,
the other thing we
guys.
want is, let's figure out if we can get, based on that timeline, some specific dates for subcommittee meetings that we can lock in and know they're
Great.
coming. and get them
Yeah,
on.
good idea.
So what do you wanna meet, monthly?
All that. I think we need to meet,
Every other week?
I would say we probably have to meet again after the 27th
So next
of
month.
October.
Yeah, so like
of
next month.
September.
Yeah.
I think
Alright.
sometime
Does that
between-
work on your end?
Thursday mornings work?
Nancy's a big part.
Great. Yeah.
Are you good for
Yeah.
Thursday
Yeah,
morning?
Thursdays
Yeah,
are good.
Thursday, whatever, works for me.
Yeah,
Thursday
me too.
mornings.
Go to the 29th?
The 29th, yeah, that's
No,
perfect.
I'm sorry, keep it.
You do your schedule, cause you're the one that has a, oh my god, the 29th is Maddie's field trip too, so
Baton
good
Rouge,
thing.
Louisiana.
Hopefully I get to be a chaperone.
How about,
Going to the apple orchard?
Oh, that's so fun. I remember all those.
don't tell Ruth about Disney, in October.
You
It's a
are?
surprise for Ruth and Henry.
What a nice
You guys are
surprise.
the best.
Ruth doesn't know.
Have you been for the 50
Who goes to
year?
Disney in
I hope everybody
October?
watches this on TV. People
A
who
ton
don't
of
wanna deal
people.
with
They do?
traffic. I mean,
I
go
just heard,
crowds.
somebody else I know is
Oh.
going, yeah.
So we,
that-
I brought Henry when he turned 4, just me and him.
I
And
thought you
so
went last year.
We did go a couple times. But
You like Disney?
I brought Henry alone when, on his 4th birthday. I
Oh.
woke him up that morning, backpack was packed, went to the airport, we flew to Disney World.
So fun.
It was fun. So Suzanne's doing the same thing with Ruth. Right before her birthday, October 1st, she turns 5 on October 1st. So she's gonna go out on
That's
Wednesday.
special.
And then Henry and I are gonna go meet them on Sunday and stay till Tuesday.
Oh, nice.
So, I can do October 6th.
you're gonna miss school. School, remember?
He's gonna miss school a couple days, yeah. Well, you know, they closed the schools, too.
I
I
don't
don't know if you
remember.
remember, but they closed the schools for 2 months in 2020 and then half
I
the
don't
year in
remember.
2021. So it
I
can't be that
homeschooled my
important
kids
to be in school
then.
if we're gonna, you know, close the schools because of the cold. So
so
October
what day?
6th, is that what you guys?
Like at 9 a.m.?
Yep.
Yeah, 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
All right.
Yeah. And then what, the school committee
I'm
meeting
gonna
is the
bring fruit to
11th, I
next
think? School committee meeting is the 11th.
I'm Italian, you know, what to eat when we meet.
Can we do another one on the 20th?
20th.
Because the school committee meeting is on the 11th. And we'll probably have a district improvement plan meeting. I'll talk to Mike and Bob about doing a district improvement plan meeting before the 20th, so that we can then talk about what's in that plan and what that all looks like. So we'll do 10-6 and 10-20.
And, all right.
So 10-6 is,
They both,
Is it
the
10-6?
20th of Thursday too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh,
I
that's
may or
fine.
may not be in Disney World myself then.
What?
No, just kidding. Well, maybe. Matt's going to Orlando that week, so it's a very loose that we would pull the kids up at the same way.
well, this is when you can pull them.
Yeah.
When they're little
Yeah.
kids, right?
I've done it.
Yeah, totally.
He doesn't want to do Disney again, but he'll be in
Once they
Orlando
get
that
older, you
week. I'm like, oh, the
So
hotel's
there's
paid
a conference the week
for.
I'm there, so
Oh.
it's expensive.
Oh,
So I'm
nice.
like, it's so easy to do that. I know it's kindergarten and second.
It is when they're
It's
little.
recorded, so the teachers are gonna know.
That's the way. That's the time now, right?
Right? It's like they're not gonna miss that much. They jump right back in.
And it's you don't make up work like high school, middle
Sports.
school.
Yeah, it's just
so
whatever.
Okay,
It's
two
whatever.
other things.
Yes.
OPEB funding plan. So Bob presented this. It went
Yeah,
over my
I-
head several times.
It did.
Is this like an unfunded pension liability situation, or what are we dealing with on this OPEB funding plan? You showed up as a 10-year plan for
Okay.
creating the reserve we need
Mhm.
for this. I'd like to understand it a little more, and
Yep.
also why are we going to take 10 years to quote unquote fix it?
I don't know why he,
So-
I was confused with his budget contribution amounts.
Yep.
So it's hard not knowing what he was thinking, like this year I thought was pretty low,
Yep.
like it dropped, I wasn't sure
The
why.
51.7 is
Yeah.
lower, okay.
Yeah.
So essentially, this is an investment account or savings account.
These are for
For
all the
retirees' health insurance.
Yeah, I get it.
For retirees' health insurance.
Or their,
that
is this
will
their
help.
pension or just
No,
the
health
insurance?
Just
health
health
insurance.
And so you see that retiree healthcare expense line down the bottom, it's 249 this year, goes up
Yeah.
to 387.
Yeah.
District
Oh,
pays
right.
a piece of it, right? They don't pay the
Yes.
whole thing.
Yes.
But he's got, if you look at the OPEB funding level, down the bottom, 5, 7.1, 10.3, what he's, my understanding is what he's trying to get us to is to a point where we're 100% funded on it. And we're
Yeah.
saying over the next 10 years, let's get from where we are now at 0.9%
Yeah.
up to 60%. And the way to do that is if you look at the budget contribution line,
Right.
saving 51,000, then 107, then 167. So he's got it basically
Okay.
over the course of 10 years,
Yeah,
us saving more money into this every year.
yeah,
But it becomes a pretty substantial number.
Oh, yeah, that is.
in 10
out in
years.
FY '32. Should it be that? I wonder if it should be a flatter number
Mm-hmm.
over the course of the next 10 years. So he's got it increasing yearly.
I wonder what his formula is in here.
Yeah, but I wonder if what's the sum of all those contributions over 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
And do we potentially want to move some of that earlier as opposed to burdening us with a
Later.
huge number later?
Hmm.
Because if you look at let's just use like 300 as the average.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing like if you did 300 a year for 10 years, you'd come to the same final ending point
Mm-hmm.
as if you went from 51 to 700.
No, you'd be higher because of the
You'd be much
interest,
higher.
because of the
Right.
investment return.
Right.
So if you
Right,
put more
right.
in, then you're gonna get, yeah.
Assuming there's
So I
positive.
wonder why he did it this way. It-
This way, because he was trying not to push too much money.
Too much. Yeah, I think you're right.
And he knew he was gonna be out of here by FY '26.
But I guess I'd like to,
Yeah, it's
we don't
gradual.
do it right now, but I
Yeah.
think about the budget. I'd like us to determine whether this is really the way we want to approach it,
Mm-hmm.
or if we might want to do it a little more
Change it a little bit.
front-loaded.
Yeah.
especially if we think we're gonna be pushing for a big budget increase this year, let's get this as part of it. And almost like this one to me, feels like one of, hey, look, these are the numbers, they are what they are. It's
So
almost
when
like,
he first I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. When he first presented this, and I don't know if you remember this, was this 51,000 for this year higher and then it went lower as he developed the budget?
I don't remember.
Like I'm wondering
I don't either.
if that's why it dropped.
I don't know.
So my fear is that will continue to happen because but now we have a subcommittee which will help. Because
Right.
obviously as you look at the budget, you
Mhm.
pick things to cut.
Right.
You know,
'Cause
so
our
this
beginning-
might be something good to really look at as we develop the budget for next year. Yeah.
So our beginning point, we have 185,000 in this now,
Mm-hmm.
and we're trying to get to the point where we have 3.7 million in FY32.
Right.
Which would get us to the point where we're 60% funded.
Right.
Oh, that's what he's doing. See that 3693 number?
Yeah.
Down the bottom, that OPEB liability, that 7.7.
The liability, yes.
We're trying to get up to that number, and that number's gonna keep growing. So the liability right now is 4.9 million,
Yep.
and we only have 185 saved. We should be at 4.9 million.
Oh, wow.
So,
We're at
trying to catch up.
174 right now, because we took a loss in
Yeah,
our
so
earnings
where's-
because of the way it markets.
So where's the gap, how are they funding, if the liability is 4.9 million, then how are they funding?
I think the liability is somewhat actuarial based on future expectations, Megan. I don't think it's like actual like cash.
Right.
It's a long-term debt.
But in FY '23, he's saying in FY '23, the long-term liability is
4.9.
valued at 4.9 million.
Right.
It's gonna be 7.7 million.
And he was
And
getting us
right
up
now,
to 3 point.
yeah,
get
he's
us to
trying to get us
4.6.
he's playing with the balance sheet.
Right, look at the 4.6 there, if you look at the ending balance in FY32,
Yeah.
that 4.6 number,
Yes.
that's the 60% of the 7.7. So
That's
on the bottom, we have
60%,
60.
yeah,
4.6.
yes.
Oh, up here,
The
gotcha.
ending balance
Is
is
60%,
60%, so
7.7.
he's
Yep.
growing
Yeah.
he's playing with our debt to equity ratio.
Right, by increasing it over
He wants
this
to-
period.
yes.
But
Okay.
if we instead had a model that put 300 a year into this, or whatever number it
Yeah.
is there a model that lets us do this as a flatter
Yes, it is.
annual number, as opposed to trying to go from 50 to
Mhm.
700? Does that, with the investment return calculation, get us to even a better spot at FY32? Because as you said, like, if we put the money in there sooner, it's gonna grow sooner.
Yeah, also, I'd like
Yep.
to see the breakdown between the OPEB liability on the balance sheet, what's current and what's
I
long-term.
think the current is the expense. Let's see the 249 expense. That's the
Where do you
expense.
see that, a retiree healthcare
Yeah.
expense,
I can find out.
that must be the current, yeah, you're right.
Must be.
So I
That's
think-
all they spend, right, because they're not paying a lot, the retirees are pretty much paying for their own healthcare.
Right, and I think what's.
It's just, it's subsidized, the district subsidizes it,
Correct,
okay.
depending on how long they've been in the district. they probably-
Right.
So,
Most of the time
I
it's
wonder,
60,
and again, I'm
65
wondering
drop
how
off.
does he calculate the long-term liability?
Well, I
Because he's
think
probably
there's a percentage applied to this, right, Megan? So he's thinking we need to have saved, second endowment.
Yeah, but,
7.7 in the endowment at FY32 to generate enough income from it to cover
Yeah.
the liability of 387.
Yeah.
but how is he calculating, this liability must be on the balance sheet, right?
The OPEB liability modified.
Yeah, this must be the total liability, this must be the short-term plus the long-term, that must
But I
be
don't-
total OPEB liability, so how is he getting that? I wanna know how he's calculating that, cause like, I'm sure you're right, it's probably like some type of, model he's
Right.
using to calculate it, but like how
I'll
how
try
do
to
we
look
know?
into it, see if I can figure it out.
You know, I'd love to, I mean, I know
Understand
it's.
that.
It must be based off of this part.
Yeah, some of
somehow.
this stuff, I mean, I'm sure he's been doing it for so many years and, you know,
I think
is
you
he
took,
just,
you got the 27 million down here for the OPEB liability, and I think it's a percentage of it.
Yeah.
So my guess is
wait, so this is the
0.9%.
GASB liability, so is this
Yeah.
the GASB liability, is this what's on the balance sheet then?
I'm guessing.
So that's probably
not
what's on the,
positive.
yeah, if that's a GASB
So I think
liability,
that
so
5
that's.
million is 0.9% of that 27.
No.
No?
It's like 5 point.
Yeah, so.
Let's dig into this. a
Let me
little
play
We
with
need
it.
to
Let's
dig-
keep working
Let
on
me
this.
play with it.
My
Do
biggest
you-
point is, my question for us.
Are these
effectively-
spreadsheets somewhere on the drive? Sorry, Adam.
Yes, yeah, and I
So
bet
I
there's
should look at
formulas
that.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
Oh,
my
yeah.
point for this group is to figure out, over this 10-year period, do we want to model it this way?
Or do we need
Or do
to?
we want to model it flatter?
And like, what do we need? Like, I don't wanna put money in the budget that we could be using 300 grand, we could put AC in a BES, I keep saying that because it was awful last time.
I know, it's so hot in the building.
Is Berlin bad too?
Berlin, yeah, the upstairs is bad.
Oh, right, because you have the upstairs, I can't.
So the last thing we have on the agenda
Is it not working?
There is none,
no, there's an ignition voice.
there's no air, there's
Things
no
I keep
ventilation,
learning.
I know.
there's no
It's a
ventilation
very old,
system.
how old's the building?
Boylston, well, we did the tour, you went on both of them.
No, she
I
was
didn't go
not.
in Boylston, I went to Berlin.
Oh,
I
I
didn't do that.
know.
But I know, I've been in the
You've
school.
been in Boylston
Yeah,
because of
yeah.
the sports,
Yep.
yeah. It's a
The
very
building
old
was
building.
1905 and it was renovated in 1999.
I thought it was 70s, maybe you're right, maybe it was in the 90s.
It's
A
massive.
part of the wing was put on in the 70s, I think, but yeah, 50s is when it was originally built. So there's parts of the building that are, but like in the classrooms, they have like the old school like radiator, like
Oh, yeah.
so like Jeff was talking about maybe adding like chillers to, I mean, there's just no ventilation in the building. It's stale hot air.
So there's a, I mean, it's an improvement plan thing too, capital, facilities is on our list.
At what point do we put
Oh,
up
right.
a new school?
I don't know if we necessarily need to,
I know,
but can you just renovate and extend and?
I mean, that building honestly could be gutted and, I mean, like, if you, the third grade wing in that building doesn't have cubbies, they have hooks.
So when we met with Bob and
Oh.
Nancy.
There's nowhere to put their stuff.
When we met in
So like,
June,
when you walk in,
No shit.
when we met in June, Megan, we talked about BES facility and talked about doing a facility study.
And I think we absolutely need to do
Would
that.
be about $25,000.
Yeah,
Did it
that
with
needs to
EMS.
be in the
Bob's
budget.
suggestion was that we, if there's a special town meeting in the fall here in Boylston, we ask for that to be added to the special town meeting. I know Seth a couple days ago, and he said he's not sure whether there's gonna be a special town meeting or not this fall.
Yeah.
There's some items that might come up and some that don't. So the question then becomes, do we wanna wait to do the BES facility study, or do we wanna say, hey, let's use some of the school choice revolving funds to do the BES facility study? But I think the first thing is to see if there's a special town meeting in Boylston, we might wanna put that out of that route.
We absolutely do. That needs to be done like ASAP.
So let's see if there's a special town meeting. If there isn't, then we could use our funds to fund the BES facility study.
I think that needs to be done this year, because I think that has to be part of the district improvement plan.
First, look at the town, it's a town building, if the
Yes,
town pay for it
town
first.
building, right.
If the town's not gonna.
Undoubtedly.
Or we can always just
Yeah, for
work
sure.
into the budget to then pay us back if we spend our money to do it, to reimburse.
So hopefully they will do a special town meeting.
Yeah, if
Who
not,
determines that?
we'll select board.
But if there has to be enough warrant items, is that the
I think they have
certain
to
number?
decide which way they wanna go. I don't.
Yeah, if they have enough things to
Yeah.
discuss, probably. I'm gonna see Seth on
He
Saturday.
told me, but he also said that, they typically don't try to put big budget items on my special town meeting.
That's not a big budget
I
item.
don't think so. He said.
25,000?
He's not sure yet if there'll be a special town meeting. They usually try to avoid them due to the cost to taxpayers to actually hold one.
Gather, yes.
In the smaller form required. However, there's been some discussion about having one for a couple of items that need to be addressed, but it remains to be determined. Try to avoid any major spending appropriations at the special town meeting because of the reduced quorum size, unless they're considered to be an emergency.
Can town meetings
Where-
be held via Zoom?
No.
No. Where are your town meetings held?
I think they're down.
Tonto. During COVID, they did it outside on the lawn at Tonto, but they
Yeah,
probably
they
have to
did.
pay,
What do they have to pay?
they pay the building for use, right?
No, they own the building.
Yeah. they-
Well, no, the equipment,
Maybe
video
they're talking
equipment, maybe the equipment, I don't know.
I can see a
I
regular
don't
town
know
meeting
the
that goes
cost.
3 days, sure, but a special town meeting,
Yeah, I don't know,
I think
you're
that's a weak
right.
argument.
Last item on our agenda is the BBRC legal representation.
Oh,
So,
yeah, I know.
I've reached out to 5 firms who provide educational law services. Our current contract with our current law firm is a flat fee model. We pay them, I think it's $750 a month, and we can call as much as we want.
$750?
Yes, a
That's it?
month. But it's flat fee, and so we don't pay hourly. So I reached out to 5, and I kind of got the names from, Jeff had a name, and then also I just looked at like MASC's
Oh, yeah, good idea.
legal
Yep,
group and
yep.
reached out to them. So 2 of them, right off the bat, weren't candidates because they don't do the general education law. They specialize in just like the student side of it.
Yeah.
But there's 3 of them that I think we should consider.
Okay.
One of them is our existing firm that does our special education work. So let me get the name of this. So this is MHTL.
So we use them for something
When you
else?
say $750 a month, are you just referring to Berlin only?
That's the contract. Oh, you know what? There's 3, right?
There's 3.
There's-
So it's
they haven't
3,000.
been in that contract. That contract, there's 3 different contracts.
Yes. It's
One was the old
3,000.
district, one from Berlin, one from, so it's 3,000
So
over?
1,000 is Boylston,
Okay,
1,500,
is Tohoto.
yep, and then 750
Okay.
is Berlin.
So we're paying 3,000 a month for us.
So
Yeah.
3250, yeah.
So Murphy, Hesse, Toomey, and Lehane, that firm is currently doing our special education
You
work.
know that?
Ah,
Are they good?
Nancy knows everyone.
Well, okay.
We use them at Ames though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Janelle, you've worked with them now and had positive things to say
Janelle,
here.
she knows them.
Well, she does, they do a special education a lot.
Oh, they do the special
So they're
education.
already working, and the thing with the
Tell
other
me the names
firms,
again.
Murphy, Hesse, Toomey, and Lehane, MHTL.com. I'll send you guys the three.
Yeah,
I have
send to me.
proposals from
Are they
all of them,
Worcester?
too. No. They're Boston based.
Okay.
But what's interesting about them is we already work with them. They bill
Yeah.
hourly. And with all these firms that bill hourly, we then are a little more in control of the expenses and what we call them. At the same time, we aren't long-term committed to any of them. What I said to all of them is we likely have a negotiation coming up with the superintendent, and that's the first item we'd want them to represent us on. And so we might want to take one of these three and have them work with us just on the superintendent's contract.
Oh,
And see how that goes.
Yeah, see how it
And
goes.
if we like them, maybe we keep working with them. If we want to reach out to a different firm on a different topic, then we can reach out to them too.
So you're not bound.
You're not bound at
Yeah.
all. So, and Murphy, Hesse, Toomey, and Lehane would be able to advise us on that. The other firm that I reached out to,
How much are they? Is it?
I have
Yeah,
a
okay.
proposal, I don't know what their hourly rate was.
I see, okay.
I don't know if it's even in here. Let me look.
Yeah, it's probably not, but it does speak to
I mean, they're not cheap. None
Right.
of them are cheap.
No.
That's what, yeah.
But I'm guessing, Adam, when it, like, for the negotiation we just did with Russ, I mean, it was a ton of his time. I'm guessing that it's more than the 750 or whatever, the 3,000 a month. I'm guessing,
fine.
like, there must be some, you know,
They can't do a worse
paragraph.
job, so.
Well, I
They,
mean, I don't know.
literally,
They
they
can't
will
do a
charge
worse
for the
job.
time they take to read an email for
Yeah.
a miss, like.
Well, that's
they
what I
are-
worry about,
I
if like
swear they have
Jeff
something right
calls,
next
or
to
like
them.
Laurie has made a
It
lot of
adds up very
calls.
At the same time, we don't have to,
See,
we don't have
that's-
to end our relationship with them right away. We have a contract with them, it's a monthly contract.
With Russ.
Right. With that firm.
What is his firm called?
Perry. What did Perry Rhodes say?
Dupree.
So that's, I mean, that's, we're not
Is that out of
necessarily-
Worcester? Dupree?
No, they're really
No,
Western
he's
Mass.
far,
Yes.
yeah.
He lives in Long Meadow
It's
too.
the dad and it's father and son,
Yep, okay.
So I might need that over here, 1 second.
and I think they both have the same name.
So the hourly rate for Murphy, Hesse, Toomey, and Lehane is $260 for partners and senior associates, $240 for junior associates, $115 for paralegals.
That's gonna cost us a fortune.
Depends how much we call them.
Alright.
During negotiations, it would be a
I'm
lot.
not willing to do negotiation with Russ when it comes to superintendent's contract, so that's, I mean.
No,
that's-
we definitely need to find somebody else, I think, yeah, alright.
It's a balance between, I mean, there's pros and cons to all of them.
Do
Yeah.
we need a Boston firm, or can we get like a?
So there's
Alright,
specific
tell me
firms
what
in the
else you got,
state
yeah.
that specialize in education law, so we gotta look at the ones that do education
Yeah, we
law,
have to get,
that
yeah,
represent public school districts.
yeah,
And even more specifically, some that represent regional school districts.
yes.
So the benefit of
there's so
Murphy,
few.
one of the strengths of Murphy, Hesse, Toomey, and Lehane is that they have a big practice in this space, and they already represent us on special education
Yeah.
items. So we'd be able to work with that firm on everything, okay? The other firm that I reached out to was Miracle Carl, which is Worcester-based. The woman who
Oh.
would be specializing is, and would be the potential contact for us is a woman by the name of Kimberly Rozak. She's a Boylston resident. She's also the town moderator in Boylston. She's your town meeting. I think this benefits to a Worcester-based firm, especially given that if she had to come to a meeting, she lives in Boylston, there's no travel cost. But Miracle Carl also represents the town of Boylston.
Mhm.
So there's a potential conflict of interest if we run into any legal proceedings with the town of Boylston. So we might end up in a situation that requires a good amount of, as she put it here, they would need to address each issue on a case-by-case basis and may need to seek waivers from the town and the district to recuse themselves if necessary on certain items.
Yeah.
They would have backup counsel ready from other firms for the referrals if they need to recuse themselves. But there would be a level of complexity to working with Miracle Carter because they represent the town of Boylston. I love the fact that she's a Boylston resident. I love the fact that we save money on the travel side, it's easier for her to come to school committee meeting. But, for instance, on the warrant, when the warrant comes up at the town meeting for the district's budget, she had to recuse herself and Don Porter got to take over at the meeting to run that item at the town meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, but that happens all the time.
It
Does it
does.
happen in
It
Boylston?
can,
It happens in our, what, office?
but I think that I'm concerned, if we work with them, that there's the potential for conflict with the town, who knows, on any item. That would then lead us to having to find another representative to represent us in a conflict with the town of Boylston. And it could be anything. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we do with the towns that pose a potential legal proceeding.
So I agree, but I think that they have a vested interest,
Yes.
and there's another partner there that, do you know who I'm talking about? I don't think, we'll talk
Okay.
about it after. Who had district.
So Brian Falk handles the town council issues for Boylston, is what she tells me here. FALK,
I don't know.
is the town council for Boylston. So I mean, the localness and the
Yeah.
Worcester-based is huge
I think
benefits
that
there.
they
Huge
would,
benefits, I
the
agree.
benefits also would be like, they would have our best interest at heart, they're not gonna screw us, they're gonna try to give us the best price possible.
Yeah.
I think they have some pretty good attorneys on staff. My sister used to work there, she's an
Okay.
attorney. Actually, my sister works for a big firm in Boston, and I can ask her if she,
And once again, like, if we have a relationship, we have a
Recommendations, but-
relationship with Murphy SE 2 million already.
we
I don't
have
think
that
we're looking to-
relationship.
We're not looking to move away from them for special ed.
No.
Right.
If we brought Miracle O'Connell on as our
We
general
also have,
counsel.
the town also has, Boylston has a relationship with Myrick O'Connell.
But if we ended up in a situation where we had a legal proceeding with the town of Boylston, we
Yes.
could always go to Murphy SE 2 million Lane.
Yes.
And then represent us in that topic.
Exactly. I just worry
Yeah.
about the Boston firm. I don't know what Myrick O'Connell's rates are, were they higher or lower?
But even then, my
You
thing
think
with
I'm
hourly
being
rates.
too worried?
No, my thing with hourly rates is that even if they're lower, they might just take them an extra hour and then they end up getting paid the same anyways.
Oh, right.
And so.
I mean, that is true, but I feel like if you go with
6
someone like a Myrick
doesn't matter.
O'Connell, who it's well known that there's a partner there that has, or other
And they're
people that
local.
have kids, they're local, they're not gonna take advantage as much as somebody
think
from
you're right.
Boston might be like, zero ties to the district.
Mhm.
I think, when you have people there that have their kids in a district,
Mhm.
they're like, their babies are, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like, that might be a good, I didn't realize they
There's
did
a-
that type of law.
Then there's a third one.
Okay.
The third one is Valerie Dominello and Hillman. They're out of Westwood, and they represented us prior to us moving over to Perry. So
Ah.
the reason that the conversation I had with him, he told me that his understanding of why the district went away from them when they did was because of the fee model. They wanted to go a flat fee and save money. So they're familiar with our district. They've worked with us before. We could probably find out internally if people who've been here a long time were satisfied with them.
Yeah.
But that would be the third one to consider. They're in Westwood, and they list of current school committee clients. I mean, they represented, as I recall, so they do, if I look locally, they represent Boston, Brookline. As I look at this list, North Middlesex Regional, Westboro, Sudbury, Northbridge. But they are primarily, I look at this here, they're primarily like Suffolk County, Boston, Brookline, Beverly. They have some southeastern Mass, East Bridgewater, Fairhaven, New Hudson, and Nantucket. So
They might be expensive.
I think they're probably pricey. But the fact that they have experience with our district could be
Yep, that's another
a
plus.
positive.
Yeah.
The question I have is really, are we comfortable with Miracle O'Connell given the conflict or potential conflict with the town of Boylston? I think we might be, from what I'm hearing here.
I would say that.
But I think we need to have backup in mind, should we need backup, and maybe the backup is Murphy, Hesse, Lane, because even then, we might have a specific topic, maybe we want two firms to give us an opinion on something. We can call Murphy
Yeah,
Hesse,
I
we
like
can call
that.
Merrick, and if they, see if they
Yep.
give us the same advice on the topic.
I think, I'm comfortable with Myrick, and I say, when we have that conflict of interest, we know we're gonna probably have to spend a little bit more money, but we'll jump to the special ed
That we already have in a contract.
that we already have a contract with, so it's,
So the next step here would be to potentially bring them in for an interview with the full school committee.
Yeah.
Maybe do that on the 27th if we're gonna potentially be approving or reviewing the superintendent candidate. We could add that as a second item. We could ask both Merrick and Murphy Hesse to
27th,
come present on their proposal to be our.
So,
Yeah.
public record, are we, so Russ, and then what, if we hire one of them, we terminate the contract with Dupree?
We have to vote to do that. Yeah.
We can do that on the same meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that contract is at the first of every month. I don't know what the termination clause is. I know it might be 30 days,
I think.
but I know that we're not locked in long-term with those contracts.
Wow, we literally just accomplished so much stuff.
I
So
know.
what happens if something really-
Well, and this was 2 hours.
Because Adam wore his fun shirt.
Well, it's because Adam, you did so much work.
I know, I said that.
So thank
He's-
you
he's-
Oh,
for
yeah.
that, like, it is greatly.
30 days.
30 days, right?
Yeah, so that's nothing, so that, a couple $1,000.
Right.
Yep,
So-
alright.
So then we folks bring in Merrick.
Yeah, that sounds
and
great.
Murphy Hesse to talk to us about their representation of our district. So the other things I asked them, I said, I want to know how would you handle questions about municipal law, open meeting law, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Though Kim at Merrick said that they have she knows a lot about it because she advises school committees, but she also has someone else in the firm who she refers some of those questions to and they get more knowledge.
So does Kim have kids in the school district?
She's older, I don't know if she
Okay.
does at this point.
Alright,
So that's it, right?
I think that's
Okay,
it.
we'll adjourn.
So moved.